What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer from Blue and Gold. As always, with our football analyst, Tim Hyde. We are live Wednesday, August 31st. It's about 7:01 p.m. Eastern Time as we are launching this week's show. This will be a staple throughout the fall. Tim, you're good on Wednesday nights, right? We're good
Love
to do this.
Wednesdays. Big fan of Wednesdays. No
Yeah,
football on Wednesdays.
I think we've been doing this show, most of this year on Wednesday nights. Sometimes we've had to move it around or skip a week. But yeah, we are back on this Wednesday night and plan to have this show going throughout the fall. Appreciate you guys joining us live. For those who are watching back or listening via podcast, very much appreciate you as well. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel if you have not done so yet. And that $1 or for 1 year deal is still going on at blueandgold.com. Can't believe I'm saying that. 8 months into us being at Blue and Gold, but and we still got that deal going on. So if you haven't signed up to blueandgold.com, all the good premium recruiting information, team coverage, access to our staff pretty much at the drop of a hat to get any questions answered, all at blueandgold.com. Again, $1 for your first year of premium access. All right, Tim, what are you up to, man? What are you sipping on? Just how's the day been going for you?
Oh, beautiful day. Just having a quick beer here, talk some Notre Dame football with everyone. And I see Joey's just posted, very excited for Saturday's game, and literally 72 hours away. So it's finally here. I feel like we've been talking about this thing since ages ago. This has been a long off season, and as you know, Mike, Blue and Gold, there's been a million things, a million articles, and blah blah blah. It just seems like, and now we're finally here to football. So it's exciting. I'm really pumped up, and it's just awesome to see Notre Dame kick off. And it's a Super Bowl. The magnitude of this game is huge. So looking forward to chatting with everyone about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, folks, hit that thumbs up. Whether you are live or watching back, drop a super chat if you want to help support our show. We'd very much appreciate that. Yeah, I can't show what I'm drinking again this week because I'm very embarrassed. No, I'm just kidding. I got an Oktoberfest, my favorite beer. So 'tis the season. I was at Sam's Club and saw a 30-pack, and I was like, yes. So I think my friends over the weekend drank about half of it, but hey, that's okay. We have, obviously, we're missing Ashton Pollard this week. I don't know if folks saw, but she left Blue and Gold. Very disappointing news. Ashton kicked butt for us, and she joined back in January, but still very excited about the future of our YouTube channel. Suck will be without Ashton. As far as what she is doing next, I can't spoil her news, but when you guys see it, it'll make a lot of sense. That's all I'm gonna say. Be like, oh, that's why she left Blue and Gold. So yes, Joey, we will miss Ashton as well. The thing is, when we don't have Ashton, we don't have someone to keep me from going off the rails. So Tim, good luck doing your best. So let's go to our next segment here, which is best thing you saw in the past week, Tim. Typically something related to Notre Dame athletics. I'm considering going off tangent for mine, but Tim, what's yours?
Well, this is going off the rails here, as you say. Is I saw Tyler Horka post that tweet with Adam Iola yesterday, talking about they're the baddest dudes on the block, or whatever the quote was. Is Tyler, and I know Patrick Angle put the full quote on Blue and Gold on the message board as they broke it down and things like that. So going off the rails for me, hey, I've been coaching football for nearly 30 years, and I read that and I just said, all right, go prove it. That was my first reaction. I know people got, hooting and hollering and getting all hyped and stuff like that. I guess I'm still a little old school, and it's like, all right, you say all that stuff, you better be the game MVP now, or the whole front four in general, which I'm looking forward to talking about later on. But go do it. This is the game to go do it. Who cares what you do against UNLV, Marshall, and a few of those other games? This is Ohio State. So if you say you're the strongest, baddest dudes on the block, go into Columbus and be the game MVP, which that was my prediction way back at the Fiesta Bowl. And we know what happened in that game, giving up yard after yard after yard for 4 quarters. So I'm looking forward to it. I saw that quote and I was like, let's go. So let's see if Notre Dame brings this attitude for 4 quarters and go gets the big win in Columbus.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple comments. Rick says, "Give me a microphone, singer. I can handle it." So yeah, maybe sometime. Rick is a big fan of Blue and Gold, and yeah, we will have a post game show with Goolsby after the Ohio State game. I will be traveling back from Detroit, and I might miss like the first quarter, but Mr. Goolsby and I will go live right after the game on our YouTube page here at Blue and Gold. And then Tim Hyde and myself will do another kind of video recap to get Mr. Hyde's thoughts on the game. So yeah, make sure you log into this Blue and Gold YouTube channel. All right, I'm going with 2 because, again, Ashton's not here to reel me in. I just saw this tweet. Like, listen, I got on Twitter. I don't follow this Four Horsemen podcast thing, but it got popped up as a related tweet about golf because golf is in this tweet. But I'm just going to read this tweet. I thought this was interesting. It says, this is seemingly the first summer in a while which a Notre Dame player wasn't disciplined academically or behaviorally. And then he goes on to kind of take a shot about Kelly, about being on the golf course. But, I mean, when you kind of think about it, Tim,
Yeah.
There's no one being dismissed or no bad vibes coming out of the summer. Everything is it's pretty kosher, and it always feels like there's at least one. Not this fall, or not this summer heading into the fall. Tim, any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, my first thought goes to, once again, Brian Kelly. People want to say what they want about him, but he did create this culture that has been going, and I think that stems from, the 4 for 40, a graduate champion, all those things, and there's some Notre Dame dudes there that are, taking care of business on the field, obviously in the classroom, doing all the things right in the community. And this has been an ongoing thing that he has been building over the last few years. So no, it was really nice to see that. And it's true. You start thinking about it, you're like, wow, yeah, you're right. There's no academic, the quarterback's not ineligible. Tommy Reese isn't running from the police a few years back when he was on campus, and you don't have 7, 8 guys with another scandal with the tutor and whatnot. So it is a clean one, but those are like so far away. It is a different ND, and these are some dudes. Don't forget, people might not like this, but Brian Kelly did help bring all these guys on. He was the head coach when these seniors, these captains, these guys were there. So I agree with that. But at the same time, Lou Holtz is famous for saying, if you don't have 3 crises in a summer, I'm going to create one, because Lou wanted to keep his team on the edge and whatnot. So that was just a quick little Lou Holtz thought I thought of real quick. But yeah, you are right. It is interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone's in good standing.
Yeah. I mean, even in the prime Kelly years, it seemed like there was always one. There's always something. Yep. Disgruntled. No, nothing.
Love them.
Yeah. All right. Number 2 for me, it's a little, my second best thing I saw in the past week since our last show was Friday night. It's a little blurry, choppy video here for YouTube audience, but quarterback drops back. I mean, a little bit late on the throw and inside, but look at Peyton Bowen reading it all the way, picking it off, and he's not losing a foot race to many high school football players. He's one of the fastest in the country. Pretty good instincts to make a play on that ball. Tim, what did you think about this play?
I saw that the other night as well, and I mean the first 20 yards is fast. That is a playmaker. That's a dude that's got some, he's got a motor. Who's electric. Great ball skills. Obviously, he just looks so smooth and fluid. That's a guy that's 5-star on 3 and top 50 nationally, basically, in so many services. So that's a dude who's going to come here on day one and be a guy right in the mix right away. But no, that play was electric. So many of Notre Dame's commitments had big weekends last weekend, and saw a lot of highlights with those guys. But Peyton Bowen, he's a dude they got to lock in, keep in this class, and he could be the face of that defense, in the future here, especially at safety, where Notre Dame has not recruited strong nationally and gotten those top 50 type of safeties in ages.
Yeah. Yeah, Peyton Bowen with Keon Keeley out
Yeah.
out of the class, and I feel like I get asked twice a day. Is there any chance of he coming back? No, I don't think so. But I mean, 5%, 10%. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah, I don't know, but I think you could make that argument that Bowen's the most important player for Notre Dame to keep in this 23
Yes.
class.
Yeah.
He's, just pound for pound, he's the most talented football player committed to the Irish in the 23 class. Okay. We're going to move into, I think there's a game on Saturday, Tim.
Oh, man.
Number 2, Ohio State, hosting number 5, Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman. I mean, let's just think about all the storylines. You got Marcus Freeman coaching against his alma mater. Heck, you even got James Laurinaitis on the sideline. You'd think the Ohio State sideline, but nope. The former Buckeye is, probably in the booth for the Irish. I mean, Tyler Buckner's first start. You look at the Ohio State offense. Can they outduel what is a really good Notre Dame defense? There's just, again, a ton of excitement around this game. It's definitely the marquee game of the day, Tim. I mean, Florida-Utah is nice, but come on, Utah. Yeah. So, they're a really good team. Don't get me wrong. But, Florida-Utah or Notre Dame and Ohio State. So we're going to go to Tim's 3 keys to the game. Made this up earlier today. And, Tim, it's going to be a staple for each week that Notre Dame has a game. So you will give your 3 keys to the game. So let's get right to it. And Tim, this is the surprise I was telling you about. I made you a little something. How about a Tim Hyde graphic?
Look at that smile.
Yeah. You're probably like, Mike, where did you find that photo?
Oh, I'm all over the internet. Google finds everybody.
That's not where I found it, though. When you emailed the late, great Loose Emoji about joining Blue and Gold a couple years ago now, you included this picture of you,
nice,
and your family.
Oh, that's nice.
So, all right, key number 1 is Notre Dame's experienced secondary versus Ohio State's blue chip receivers. Why don't you tell us about this key to the game, Tim?
Well, you know what, obviously, last time we saw Notre Dame was not fun. I mean, let's be blatantly honest here. It was not fun whatsoever watching the really one DB get shredded, but many others in the run game and Oklahoma State just having a field day. But everyone wants to talk about Ohio State's receiver core. Now they got a freakazoid, Jackson Smith Njimba, who's a man. He's a grown man. You watch any of his games, he's just electric. But the other guys only have a couple plays. They only have a couple catches now. So Marvin Harrison only has like 11 or 12 catches last year. So it's not like these guys are coming in with huge numbers. And they are 5 stars. They're electric. They're highly recruited, but a lot of young dudes in that wide receiver core. And I highlight the experienced secondary because Notre Dame is very experienced. You got the seniors at safeties, and obviously Lewis, who's going to be a junior, but then you go Bracey, who's a 5th-year guy, Cam Hart, who's a true senior. A lot of experience, a lot of minutes, a lot of tackles, a lot of passes defended, on and on and on, that this secondary has been a part of the last few years. So that's obviously the biggie of the game. We sit here and talk about this for an entire hour, just Stroud, those receivers, and it's going to come down to the Notre Dame secondary, how they cover. And I'm looking forward to seeing Bracey at the nickel just lock up and see what he could do against Jackson Smith there and have some fun.
Yeah, so experienced secondary. When you told me that, I was like, yeah, it's experienced.
Yeah,
I don't know how good it is, but they've got games under their belt, right?
Yes.
Clarence Lewis going into his 3rd year. Tariq Bracey has been a mainstay in the Notre Dame defense, maybe not so much in 2020, but 2019, 2021. I mean, he's played a lot of ball. Cam Hart started last year, obviously. Ramon Henderson played a bunch. Houston Griffiths played a ton of football.
Yes. 5th-year guys in Houston Griffith, DJ Brown, 5th-year guys. More, so that's what, when I say experienced, people may be like, well, what are you talking about? But that's what I meant.
But are they any good?
A lot of minutes.
But are they going to be any good against Ohio State is the question.
But here's here I had the numbers. I wrote these down, which I was fascinated because we always hear about Ohio State's receivers. But Marvin Harrison, 11 catches. Emeka Uboka, who's a stud, a high school film's electric, 9 catches, and Julian Fleming had 12 catches for 86 yards. So I mean, obviously, he had 2 first-round draft picks and whatnot, but these guys did not get out there and play. And I went over their play charts. There's multiple games where these guys don't get on the field, or a couple games, 8, 12, 15 snaps and whatnot. So, it's also going to be a first game for many of these young Ohio State receivers as well. So that's just something to keep an eye on, because I think, the ultimate key is going to be the pass rush. But this defense now, there's seniors everywhere on all levels of this defense. So I think Al Golden's going to have a great group, an experienced group, a group that has gone through the wars over the last few years with some big time football games.
My next thought on this discussion is actually, I think, your third point. So we'll kind of get to that in a second. Point number 2 is Notre Dame offensive coordinator, or your second key, I should say, is Notre Dame offensive coordinator versus Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles in that chess match. Should be noted that Oklahoma State defense that Notre Dame played in the Fiesta Bowl was Jim Knowles' defense. Now, he wasn't there for the Fiesta Bowl. He had already taken the Ohio State job, but it was his scheme. So there are similarities. Obviously, Tommy Rees already game planned for a Jim Knowles defense. Now the man in the booth calling the game, is obviously not the same as the one against Oklahoma State, but still something to mention. So tell us about this key.
Well, that's, you're talking about the game earlier. I think one of the big hires, you talk about all these players and coaches and stuff, is Jim Knowles. I mean, Ohio State went out and gave the man $2 million to go revamp their defense. Their defense, I saw a stat, 2 out of the last 3 years have been the two of the like 2 or 3, 4 worst defenses in Ohio State Buckeye history. So they gave him a lot of money to come in and revamp it. And it's not like the Buckeyes don't have dudes. So they're stacked. They got guys all over the place. They got 5 stars all over the place, but they're a little suspect at linebacker. They've had to move some guys around. Going back to the receiving core in Ohio State, their tight end has played linebacker. So, they don't have a true stud tight end there. So they've had to move him around. He played a linebacker in the Rose Bowl against Utah, which is interesting. So Jim Knowles, I've gone back and watched some of the Oklahoma State film here in the last week, just to get back to, prepping for, when we watched the Fiesta Bowl, and his defense is aggressive. Those 4-2-5 he plays, the 3 safeties are everywhere. I mean, he'll stack them all in a line and they're just dropping and run fitting. They were top 5 in the nation last year in run defense, because any direction on run, those backers are going to shoot down, which, fingers crossed, I'm sure Tommy Rees knows that. That's why they hit him on some big pass plays last year, threw the ball a lot. You could get him over the middle, and that's going to be Michael Mayer. But I highlight Tommy Rees really for the number one reason is Tyler Buckner. This is his first game. What is he going to do to unveil or protect Tyler Buckner in this game? Is it going to be ground and pound, smash ball, with the big offensive line and the running backs they got? Or is Rees going to try and be like, no, we like the way he throws. We like our matchups in certain spots, especially at the tight end position underneath. So that's my big thing, is this is going to be a biggie, because it's really obviously Buckner versus, is it a truly revamped Ohio State defense, which really comes down to the two coordinators running the show there.
Tim, I was cutting up an interview of Tyler Buckner that he did with the media, and folks can find that on our Blue and Gold YouTube page. A media member asked something to the effect of, what would be a successful game for you? And, Buckner gave a, typical answer without saying much. All these players and coaches do that, except for Jason Adamalola, apparently, and said, just taking care of the ball, or, not turn it over. But for you, is there any number you could put on it, or is it more of a coach speak point for what, in your opinion, Tim, would be a successful outing for Tyler Buckner in this one?
Oh, I mean, who cares? I mean, I'll be honest with you. In this game, you're playing 2 versus 5 on the road. I mean, Notre Dame hasn't won a game like this in ages on the road versus a highly ranked team like this. I don't think there's a key stat. You got to hit 125 rush in or hit 275 pass in. No, for a successful game for Tyler Buckner, it's going to be obviously, turnovers. If he comes out of this game with no turnovers, I would expect Notre Dame to win this game. So the ultimate coach speak is the most successful thing is the Buckner to come out of this game winning, whether it's 1 point, 22 points, or who cares? A win would put Tyler Buckner on the cover of the old magazines that we used to get back in the day that they don't do anymore. But I really don't think there's a true number. I think me personally, and watching this game and watching this film and just watching some of the press conferences and some of the Buckeyes camp film and the Notre Dame camp film on the YouTube page that we have I think it's going to be physical. I personally think it's going to be a bloodbath game, and I think it's going to be a physical knock 'em sock 'em game because Notre Dame has that bad taste from the Fiesta Bowl, Marcus Freeman era officially kicking off. But let's don't forget Ohio State. They have been all we've heard is that how great their passing attack is and how sucky their defense is. Well, those guys are going to be teed off and ready to show up and play their tails off, especially some of the big games Ohio State's lost at home. So they've heard that as well for the last 9 months. So I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I really do.
Yeah, Joey says limited turnovers is the key, and I completely agree. Yeah, my answer to the question would be, like, I'm like, if we're gonna talk turnovers, like if he throws up a Hail Mary and it gets, like that's
a true turnover. Yes,
we're talking Notre Dame's driving, get some momentum, turnover, God forbid a pick six or a fumble or drops. Like you can't do anything like that. If you're Tyler Buckner, I think he even admitted in that same video, again, with the media, that he's like, look, I'm human. I'm a little nervous for this game. Mm-hmm. I think he's kind of going to want to be a little Superman and take those hits, but he's going to learn he can't. You're too important, and the dude's already got an injury history. He can't go for an extra 2 yards on a 16-yard run that's already a first down. Yeah. You got to slide. You got to go out of bounds. You got to throw it away. You got to take care of your body, Tyler Buckner, because you get hurt. I mean, let's just knock on wood and not even go down that path.
No, I agree. But on that, it goes back to, look at the big game last season, Cincinnati, the turnovers in that game. I mean, Cohen's got him driving the opening drive of the game, and there was a horrible interception. Buckner's interception falling backwards and picks it. And then Chris Tyree just fumbling on his own 10 on a kickoff return. So, yeah, those things were just, that's what killed him in that game right there is those 3 possessions. So going in on the road at Ohio State, protect the football, but at the same time, let that dude run around, throw the ball, and have some fun, man. It's going to be fun.
Okay, so going into your third key. So, Tim, we do have a super chat real quick.
There you go.
Starting 3 says, let's go Irish. Love Jason's comment/attitude. Can't wait till game day. Starting 3, definitely appreciate these super chats. Let us know if you have any questions for us. All right, so your third key to the game is essentially, if Notre Dame is going to win this game, what are we going to be talking about? And
by starting 3. The D line.
Yeah, so it's the third key here is Notre Dame D line must be the talk of the town after the game.
That's I just really believe that, because once again you got a lot of upperclassmen. You got the twins, the Adamiola twins, Foskey, Riley Mills is a junior. You got Lacey, you got Cross, you got Chris Smith coming in from Harvard to do a 5th year. So you got a lot of upperclassmen up there, and the D line's got to dominate. It's going back to that comment that he made. If you're the biggest, baddest dudes on the block, go prove it. The Buckeyes have 2 great offensive tackles, 2 studs. The right tackles, what is he, 6'9", 350 some odd pounds. He's a monster. Really good center. A couple of really young guards in there. So it's going to be a good football game. But I think we're done and talking after the game. We're talking Sunday. It's Notre Dame comes out of there with a huge upset against Ohio State. You're just saying that D line just teed off. They got after Stroud, made him nervous, because Stroud is one of the most accurate quarterbacks I've ever seen. he throws dimes out there when you give him half a second. So if they could push that pocket with those big four, that's the game. I truly believe that's the football game right there.
So with all of the fall camp practice reports, that we do at Blue and Gold, whether it's written or YouTube, and hearing from the coaches, we're trying to glean, but you glean information from that. But we really don't know about this Notre Dame football team. And let's be honest, neither does the coaches. We get 5 periods for most, the media does to watch practice. I think maybe there's 2 fully open practices. It's hard to glean a lot from that, but the coaches get to watch every single practice in their entirety, obviously. But still, you don't know what you have until you go under the lights, especially at Ohio State. We will know a lot about this Notre Dame football team afterwards. So I preface my point with all that to say, how good is this Notre Dame secondary? We do not know. I like Clarence Lewis more than the rest of you guys. I think he just got torched against Oklahoma State. It happens to defensive backs. Tim, would you agree? Just yesterday, was that the hardest position to play is cornerback right now in modern day football?
Oh, God, yeah. Especially when you're getting picked on in that Fiesta Bowl, and they never gave him any help or never took him off the field to rest for a minute.
They didn't. So it's an experienced Notre Dame secondary, as Tim mentioned, with key number 1. But going to key number 3, if this Notre Dame defensive line forces Stroud to make quick decisions and get rid of the ball, that secondary is going to look really good. And if it goes the other way and Notre Dame can't get any pressure on them, then they got to start blitzing in not ideal situations just to get him get Stroud to get rid of the ball faster. And that now you're looking at chances to get torched in the back end. So that defensive line is so key to the game. So Tim, I completely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, it's a biggie because, like you're saying, if Ohio State's able to just sit there and just block these guys, Paris Johnson left tackles just dominating Riley Mills or Foskey when Foskey's in the boundary and they're getting no heat, then it becomes this thing we've talked about a handful of times, the blue chip and the blue chip ratio, and the blue chippers are all on the Ohio State skill kids. They're all 4 and 5 guys. They're all top 100 dudes. Where Notre Dame is 3-star Cam Hart, 3-star, Clarence Lewis, DJ Brown, a 3-star, and you going on and on, Bracey, all these guys, the only top 100 guy in that group is Houston Griffith. And even obviously with Brandon Joseph as being an All-American a few years ago, he is a senior. He redshirted at Northwestern. He is a senior, and he was ranked, the 1100th player in the country. So you start getting to that blue chip ratio, but does the experience matter? Does that pay off in this game for Notre Dame on top of the pass rush? We're gonna find out in 72 hours is what we're gonna do. So I'm excited because I personally feel Notre Dame has a legitimate shot. I think the point spread is crazy, but at the same time, what has Notre Dame done in these games, Mike? What have they done? Outside of the 2019 Georgia game, Clemson at Georgia, everyone's been a blowout.
Clemson? 2020?
That was at home. You know what?
Oh, you're talking road?
Yeah, I'm talking road. And the Clemson one's a great win.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna piss me off.
I'm not going to do it because that was a great win. Believe me, I jumped through the roof. It was great to win that game.
I remember.
But we all know what happened in the ACC championship.
Yes.
But for that moment, that was a Notre Dame moment at home. Notre Dame's last road win over a top 10 team is 2012 at Oklahoma. So it's been a while.
I'm going to pull up that. Do you remember the score for that ACC championship game? Can't believe we're saying that Notre Dame played an ACC championship game. Do you remember the score, Tim?
Was it 34-9?
34-10. Very close.
Okay.
If DJ Uiagalelei, if he would have started that game, you could still see that score being 34-10, though. I don't when you think about that Notre Dame game that they beat Clemson, they went 3 quarters without scoring an offensive touchdown. It was like they scored that first touchdown, and then they didn't score again until the Avery Davis touchdown. They had, defensive, I don't
Yes.
remember all the scores in between. So my argument at the time of that game was, in 10 years after that game, no one's going to say, Trevor Lawrence was out and that's why Notre Dame won, because at the time I was thinking, like, because people are going to be saying DJ's better than, maybe even better than Trevor Lawrence in the NFL, like, because DJ looked freaking amazing. He broke all sorts of records that game.
Exactly.
So it's not like, DJ or Trevor being out was the problem for Clemson. They put up a ton of points.
Yep.
That's
no, exactly. I mean, he set a record at Notre Dame for passing yards. And you're right. Kyron Williams goes 80 on basically the first play of the game was, a false start or procedure. And then they hit the touchdown. And then you had, Jeremiah Usu-Koramoah, the unbelievable fumble for a touchdown off Travis, Etienne. And, but you're right. Before going back to Avery Davis, God bless Avery Davis and his tenure at Notre Dame. But they were down when Ian Book hits that post to Avery Davis. Notre Dame was down. They had to score a touchdown on that last drive in the final couple minutes. So, yeah, that was it was an all-timer. It was an unbelievable game, and that was that's when I found the Blue and Gold post game show. I remember when
that was our biggest show.
I stayed up that night. I went to YouTube to go watch the press conference, and then I saw you guys. I was like, oh, Goolsby. Yeah, whenever I think of Goolsby, I just always think of the great Michigan games he had, and obviously the pick six in Knoxville. But started watching that, and it was an unbelievable atmosphere that night. So, but we're talking road Columbus.
Yeah,
it's a different world, and Notre Dame has laid some eggs on the road.
Yeah, we had done a couple of post game shows for that 2020 season. Mm-hmm. We were using this free software, and you get what you pay for, and it was terrible. We had all sorts of issues. But then we got this other software, and that was our first show with that, and seamless show. And yeah, that was one heck of a night that I'll never forget.
Oh yeah,
our YouTube channel Blue and Gold really took off that night. We've grown, I think, like 15,000 subscribers in less than 2 years. So very very thankful for you all. Okay,
that was a great night, and let's get a big one on the road. That's the next step that Notre Dame needs to do, and doing it with Coach Freeman, it's going to be fun.
All right, let's pay some bills real quick. Some word from our sponsors. Inspired by former Notre Dame Leprechaun Mike Brown, who was on the show last week, by the way. If you guys got to check that out, you should definitely go back and listen. Again, inspired by former Notre Dame Leprechaun Mike Brown, the Leprechaun's Game Day book at Notre Dame is an officially licensed children's book that describes the beautiful pageantry of a football Saturday at Notre Dame. Follow the Leprechaun on an adventure from step off into the tunnel and onto Notre Dame's field as he leads the team to an Irish victory. Filled with delightful illustrations that bring the magic of Notre Dame's campus to life for young readers, this charming read-aloud picture book is a celebration of true Fighting Irish spirit and the perfect gift for Notre Dame alumni, families, and fans of all things Irish. Visit www.lepgame.com. That's lepgameday.com, and enter code BG22 to get your author-signed copy today. Again, lepgameday.com. Enter code BG22. Tim, I am sure that you are. I mean, that just seems like a no-brainer for all parents of Notre Dame fans. There is no price you can put on growing your kid to become a Notre Dame fan. So I feel like this book could be like $1,000 and you got to go buy it. So this is what the website looks like. Pre-order it, scheduled for release, I believe in September, but obviously it'll be this fall. So yeah, lepgameday.com. What do you think, Tim?
No, I've already put an order in. So
that's my man.
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? I mean, for the kids and things of that nature, it's gonna be a Christmas gift. So don't say anything yet. But it's no, really exciting. Like I said, my wife is really good friends with him and some of his buddies. Her roommate is still close with Brown and since the graduation days and whatnot. So really excited. That was a great interview that you did, and his energy still shows to this day. It's awesome. He's on campus and whatnot, and it's good. I'm looking forward to getting it and having the kids read it. So we got a couple little Notre Dame Irish kid books and that they read out. Heck, there's the yellow one right behind me, right back there, the little kitty book. So read that to them bed and get them ready. So, hey, I was brainwashed early, so I'm going to get my kids going as well.
There you go. There you go, folks. Get the Leprechauns Game Day book just so you can brainwash children. That's
Hey, brainwash them into the Notre Dame way. That's what it is.
Exactly. Okay. A couple more segments for this evening. Mr. Hyde, the over-under for Notre Dame's win total, just regular season, right? You're not including the bowl.
Yeah.
Set at 8.5. Now, we did a show with Tyler Horka and Patrick Engel. If you haven't watched it, just go ahead and pause right now. Go watch that one because I'm about to spoil it for you. They give their game-by-game season predictions. Tyler went with 9-3. Patrick went with 10-2. I'm in the 10-2 camp. I think between Clemson, Ohio State, and USC, or some other game, UNC, BYU, whatever it is, I think they're going to trip up twice. But if Notre Dame goes like 9-3, I think after the success the Irish have seen since 2017, that's going to be such a negative thing. It's been all 10-win seasons. But then Vegas is saying 9 wins is, that's hitting the over. It seems like a low over under. Tim, what do you think?
I think it was 8.5 as well last year, and obviously they
was it? Okay.
I believe so. But how close was Vegas though last year, right? Notre Dame had to have 2 last-second walk-off field goals to win a game, and then the Toledo game, Cohen to Michael Mara to win the game in the last minute there. So, how close was Vegas to going 8-4 and making some money last year? So, 8.5 seems, maybe it's just one of those thresholds. It's just a number because the way Notre Dame has played in some big games. So they're probably expecting them already to lose 2 off the bat, and you give them another 1.5 here or there somewhere. But I've never been a great prediction guy. I think everything's going to come down to Ohio State. I truly, that's easy to say, but if Notre Dame, if Notre Dame loses this, can they go 11-1? I would say no, just because something somewhere is gonna mess it up. But if they go on the road and if you beat number 2, is Notre Dame number 1 the next week? Do they jump Alabama?
Probably not.
Alabama's at Texas the following week, but going on the road, beating number 2, they're going to be number 2. So you would expect them to be number 2 the rest of the season and win out and keep that mojo. Does that lock in? This is a very senior-laden team. I've said that a million times. There's seniors all over the place. Just look at the roster, the 2 deep. Some of their key guys are sophomores, and a couple freshmen are banging on the door to get some playing time. But this is a senior-laden team. I want, it's interesting because I want to say 9-3 because something's going to happen somewhere. But my heart of heart, I truly believe Notre Dame's just going to play is their tail off, and they're going to find a way to go 11-1. I don't think 11-1 gets Notre Dame in the playoffs. I just don't, because I think that committee is always going to think of what they've done in the past and find a way to keep them out because they're not in a conference.
Yeah.
I'm just one of those guys that thinks Notre Dame has to be undefeated to go to the playoffs, even though they've been close. They've knocked on the door. 2017, they were number 3 before they lost to Miami. But, that it all evens itself. I'm one of those guys as well. Everything's going to even itself out between now and in that first week in December. So just let things play out. But my gut says 11-1. I think they're going to find a way. I do.
I thought you were saying 9-3, so now you're saying 11-1? Forget 10-2. You're either 11 wins or 9.
Yes. No, seriously. I'm an 11-1 guy. I think they're 11-1. They're going to knock on the door. Or 9-3. It's the Ohio State game. If they win Ohio State, I think this group of seniors is going to find a way to rally this football team. I really do. The schedule is tough, but it's not crazy tough. UNC is not some juggernaut. Notre Dame's gone in there and won plenty of times in their history. UNC is not people want to talk about BYU, heck of a quarterback. They're all 26, 27-year-old dudes that have come back from Mormon missions and red shirts and COVID years and everything. heck of a game, but Notre Dame's never lost one of those games. They've never lost a Shamrock game. They're not going to go to Vegas after that video did and lose. I think the entire season is going to come down to November 8th because you know me, I love Dabo. I love Clemson. I'm a big Dabo Sweeney fan. I think he's going to have them coming into South Bend 8-0. That game is going to be the telltale for the season.
So we're talking about potential slip-up games. Like that could be something that happens. But it hasn't been post-2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking, Tim, is that just something that Kelly just did such a good job of as a head coach, not losing the ones that you're supposed to win?
Yeah.
Like didn't Purdue blow out Ohio State a few years ago? Like those things happen, but Notre Dame it didn't. So I'm just part of my, I don't know if you want to call it a fear, but I think that we just kind of are used to that, not being upset as a Notre Dame community. Upset being, an upset loss, not being upset, because obviously that happens all the time. That was a joke, Tim. Come on, where's the chuckle? Like, no, of course Notre Dame fans are going to be upset, but I'm saying like upset in a game. But maybe Marcus Freeman, first-time head coach, maybe they do get upset. That's
no. I mean, everything you're saying is so true because because they have won those games. They have the longest winning streak. I believe it's in the 40s over teams that are unranked.
Right.
Alabama last year when they lost to A&M was unranked. I think Alabama was 100 or 101 games in a row against unranked teams that they had won until that A&M game. So Notre Dame's number one in the country right now against unranked teams. So you're right. Kelly went on and won those games. In 2017, his losses were all to ranked teams. 2018, undefeated until, the playoff. And obviously 19, Michigan lost to a top 10 Georgia team. And in 20, undefeated until the end of the year. So they have taken care of business. And that's going, I've said this a ton. And, I was chatting with some dudes on the message board just today about it. Like, people forget Marcus Freeman was hired. There is no rebuilding. Yeah. Sure, they need to recruit and they need to do things and, a facility upgrade. That's fine. But there's zero culture change needs to change and take place at Notre Dame other than win a game like this at Ohio State. This is what needs to happen. The culture's there. The players are there. The schemes are there. They're going to play with the energy, the fan base, all those guys are there. But, if Notre Dame needed, as I said, Bob the Builder, since, my little guys in construction jobs, if they needed a construction job, Marcus Freeman would not be here.
Yeah.
Just being blatantly honest, he would not have been here. But he is here because this program is primed to jump that next leg. And he's got experienced dudes, Al Golden, the NFL. And let's don't forget Sean McVay on Twitter, the tweet that was going viral, hyping up Tommy Rees. And, there's tons of rumors always about that in the NFL. So Notre Dame's got dudes in charge, in place to go out and win this thing. And his 9-3 would be a big letdown. It would be a letdown year, I truly believe.
Yeah,
8-4 would be a disaster.
I think it's a subjective thing.
Sure.
I'm one away. Like I'm one game away from. I think 9-3 is, it's a little bit of a letdown. But I'm just trying to be a little bit more, I don't want to say realistic, but forgiving maybe. Mm-hmm. Goolsby always calls me the eternal optimist. 8-4 would be and this is kind of getting into our next topic. We want to talk about worst and best case scenario. We'll get there in a second. But for me, it's like 8-4 is the worst case scenario. Mike, you're saying 8-4 is okay? No, I'm saying that's like the ceiling for this year's team. But going back to this other discussion, I feel like Notre Dame's going 11-1 if Tyler Buckner is a dude. If Buckner is a baller and he is what everyone thinks he is, I think it's 11-1. But if he's not, he gets hurt, yada yada. I think 9-3. God forbid 8-4. All right, here is a
hold on. I got a quick stat for you here. This is in the Blue and Gold yearbook, page 12, right here. The last 4 years, there's only 2 teams in college football that have scored over 30 points and held teams under 20. Notre Dame and Alabama. The last 4 years. I found that stat on page 12 in the Blue and Gold yearbook. That's huge. That's huge for Notre Dame. And that's where this program is going back to there's seniors everywhere. There's no freshmen that they have to have play this year. Even on the O-line, the two bookends are the youngest guys, playing, but they're also probably two of the best in Joe Alton and Blake Fisher. So other than that, fifth-year dudes, seniors all over. Yeah, Buckner is a sophomore, but he played, 8-9 games last year. He played more football than C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young played as freshmen. He played in key games, key touchdown drives, key moments. So I really do think that's going to pay off for Notre Dame.
All right, Tim. Would you rather go 10-2 and lose to Ohio State and Clemson, or go 8-4 and beat Ohio State, but you lose to Clemson, USC, BYU, and North Carolina?
Yeah. What?
All right. Let me add. Ohio State.
For some reason, I'm dying to beat Ohio State. It's like I'll get my left arm as a Notre Dame fan.
Let me add in. Ohio State doesn't now just fall off the cliff. Like Texas Notre Dame in 2016. It's like, oh, look at this game, and then both the teams weren't any good. That was 2016, right? Or was that 15? No, that was 2016.
What's
right?
that?
The Texas Notre Dame barn burner.
Oh, that was 2016. That was the overtime game in Austin. Yeah.
So let's say Ohio State is like 11-1 and runs the table after that. Which one are you going with?
Oh, if they're 11-1 and Notre Dame ends up, let's say Notre Dame beats, that's Ohio State's only loss, and Notre Dame ends up 8-4. What the heck happened to Notre Dame?
You taking it? Which one are you going with?
No, 10-2. You know what? I'm thinking of you, Mike, in recruiting. Okay, 10-2 gets you a New Year's Six bowl, keeps the recruits, moving forward, positive mojo on to 2024 with another top 3 to 5 class in 2024. Now we start compounding these top 5 classes. So, what's the score? Is it 30? How about 32 to 30? 32 to 30. Ohio State wins. Notre Dame goes 10-2. Take that, right? 8-4. There's no way. If Notre Dame beats Ohio State, they're going 12-0. 8-4 would mean 8-4 would mean injuries times 10.
All right. So Tim,
and the third string quarterback has to finish out the season in November. How's that?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see the next one.
How about this, Tim? Notre Dame destroys Ohio State 44-17 and then goes at 8-4.
Hey, a great moment. It'll be a great cover for Blue and Gold Illustrated. But 8-4, there's no way. There's no way you go 8-4 after you beat Ohio State. So will I take the win? Heck yeah, I'll take the win. But I'm not. There's no way I'm saying 8-4.
Okay, so to kind of continue this conversation, I had this idea for a few weeks ago. I don't know what I was, where my headspace was at when I was like really passionate about this topic, but I want to bring it to you this week. Is worst case scenario for this football team is, knock on wood, they all trip downstairs and all break their legs and they're, they can't play a game. But that's a very unrealistic scenario. Let's talk fairly realistic, but worst case scenario and fairly realistic best case scenario. So Tim, give me records. Who's Notre Dame beating? Who are they losing to in both of those situations?
Yeah, if Notre Dame goes 8-4, so
is that your worst case scenario then?
Yeah, I would say 8-4 because it was Vegas is rolling the dice. They did 8.5 last year. They're doing 8.5 this year. Vegas is like, we're close last year. What if Jonathan Dorr doesn't hit those field goals, right? What if they don't hit those field goals? What if Chris Tyree doesn't go 100 yards against Wisconsin, to get that game rolling? And
what if Jack Cohn can't pop his finger back in,
Exactly. Pop it against Toledo and go and hit Michael Mara. No, you're right. You're right. So it's like they were that close to going 8-4 last year. So, as Bill Parcells, the great coach, my all-time favorite coach, Bill Parcells said, you are what you are. And they were 11-1. So they did it, but I would say 8-4. And if they go 8-4, Ohio State, Clemson, definite losses. I mean, if they're 8-4 at the end of the year, you got to think those two are going to be losses. And then I think their streak against an unranked team is going to happen. If they're 8-4, they lost a game they should have won. That's what you just said, a UNC. I don't think it's going to happen, but does Notre Dame? I mean, maybe Notre Dame has one of those 11 a.m. kickoffs at Syracuse that they got to play. And it's on ESPN3, and no one wants to watch it. And Notre Dame goes and lays an egg, like they did the year with Brady Quinn in the Carrier Dome. So does that happen? And does that mean USC is what some people are hyping them up to be, and all those transfers go out and kick butt, and Notre Dame goes out there, USC's 10-1, and just, Caleb Williams just teased that off, and there's your 8-4. So that's the worst case. Can that happen? Sure, it can happen. Most definitely. And then you got, going back to your thing, Buckner is throwing 12 interceptions in the first 4 games. It's a turnover machine. You got to go to Pine, and things of that nature just start to unravel.
So realistic best case, beat Ohio State, you go undefeated?
Yeah. The best case for Notre Dame, beat Ohio State.
It's still realistic.
I truly believe it is. I mean, Ohio State obviously has some freaks. Don't get me wrong. They're good. But have those 5 stars on defense panned out? Have they, dominated? They got some dudes on the D line that are seniors that have never been dudes yet. So linebackers are very average. They got some freshmen I know that have had great camps. But are they going to go play true freshmen in this game at linebacker? I doubt it. Is Styles at linebacker or the strong safety or the rover in this game going to match up with Michael Mayer? No, he's going to just throw him away from him. So you beat the Buckeyes, you're going 12-0, because I think this senior team will rally around, and they're going to go take care of business, and they will be laser focused. It'll feel like 88 again, because you beat Michigan in a hard fought game in 1988, and then they ran the table and they won the big, obviously, Miami game, which in this case would turn into that November 8th Clemson game in South Bend.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at this. Again, going realistic, I know what the popular thing to say is, 12-0.
Yeah.
I know
it's tough.
Audio base and YouTube base doesn't, want me to be negative, but I'm just going to tell you my honest thought is I just don't see any world really where Notre Dame goes undefeated this regular season. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. Do I have any really
2018 was that.
I don't see it.
But 2018, 2012 was crazy games. Barely, the Pitt game,
this schedule's brutal.
This schedule?
Yeah.
The home schedule outside of Clemson is Cupcake Nation. So they could, and they close their eyes and win their home games.
Well, let me go through the worst case now, okay?
The home games outside of Clemson, I know someone will say BC. They're not losing to Phil Jurkovec.
All right. Again, we're going worst case.
Worst case.
Sort of realistic.
Worst
Ohio
case.
State loss, Clemson loss,
yes.
USC loss. There's 3.
There's your 3.
You're gonna. So my worst case is 7-5. Again, worst case.
Mm-hmm.
You could see them tripping up at North Carolina. I am tired of 2 teams in college football. North Carolina and Iowa State. I don't want to hear hype about those 2 teams ever again, because they never pan out. I just don't want to hear it. When those teams do well, I will believe in, but I don't want to buy it. But
Arizona State, as a West Coast guy, Arizona State's always this fashionable West Coast.
That's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but they're like every 5 years you always hear about ASU, and then they filter out. So I throw them in the mix with those guys.
BYU, it's been a pretty darn good team.
Yes.
In recent years. Who knows?
But Mike, look at BYU's schedule. They're playing like 12 ranked teams. It is crazy.
Oh, it's a tough schedule they have.
It's insane. I looked at it like a week ago, but they are playing a juggernaut. I mean, they're just going on a road show, man. They're just playing anyone, anytime, anywhere. So they may be a little beat up, but they got a great quarterback.
I regret this segment now, because I know everyone's going to be like on YouTube, oh, Mike Singer said Notre Dame's going 7. No, you dummies.
Worst case scenario.
Worst case. So North Carolina, BYU, they're not losing to Stanford, not using the UNLV. Syracuse on the road in the not Carrier Dome. I'm just saying, between some of these games, I will throw Boston College in there just if Phil Dracovic is just bonkers this year.
Yes.
BC, Syracuse, BYU, North Carolina. I don't. Dude, they almost lost to Toledo last year, so maybe even throw Marshall in that. So worst case, I could see 5 losses. But
wait, just look at. Well, let's take a look at the quarterbacks real quick, Mike. Ohio, I mean, they're playing some really good quarterbacks. Ohio State's got a heck of a quarterback. BYU's got a quarterback. Stanford, David Shaw thinks he's got his best collection of receiver quarterback grouping he's had in ages. Tanner McGee's going to be an NFL quarterback. Obviously, Caleb Williams. Whatever happens in Clemson. If DJ's not the guy, the reports during camp is they're going to play the freshman. Klebnick's going to play some this year because he's that talented. It's kind of like that scenario with Trevor Lawrence as a freshman. Yep. So they're playing some really good quarterbacks. This year. UNLV, they're going to win. Obviously, Navy, Syracuse. They should not lose to Syracuse. Unless it's one of those where they've already got 3 losses. It's an 11-inning kickoff. And it's just a mess. Where are they at mentally? And it's interesting. I was watching the Ohio State, the 96 game when Ohio State went to South Bend, and it was a battle of, 2 top 5 teams matched up in 96. And after the game, Notre Dame, hard fought game, Emmett Mosley scores on a touchdown, gets called back, which is a heartbreaker. Ohio State ends up winning the game. And the first thing Ron Paulus says after the game is, our season's over with. We got nothing to play for anymore. And we're just playing out the season. There's no more national championships. So where is this team's mindset if Vegas is correct and this game is, 38-20 and Notre Dame is just not close, and it's just same old say that we've seen against these teams in the playoffs. Outside of the 2 Georgia games that they battled Georgia, in these games they've gotten blown out. So where is their head after this game? Do they have the mental makeup to go, we're going 11-1 and try and get back in the playoff hunt? We'll find out.
I'm going 10-2 though.
Yeah.
That's my pick. I'm going loss Ohio State and then split Clemson and USC, more likely beating USC and losing to Clemson. But that's where I'm at, 10-2.
If you're going 10-2, you beat SC with a shot to go into a New Year's 6. Marcus Freeman's first year, top 5 recruiting class, round everything up into 1 year.
Go win the New Year's 6 bowl game, though.
Oh, my God.
Go win it.
One of these days. Oh, one of these days. It's interesting because, obviously getting ready to play Ohio State and, watching the Manti Te'o thing and thinking back, on Netflix, the documentary, and thinking back to 2012. Everyone always talks about K-State. Oh, what if, get Alabama out of there. Why did K-State choke a game away at the end? People forget. Remember, Ohio State was on probation that year, Urban Meyer's first year. What if Notre Dame would have played Ohio State at 12-0 that year? That Ohio State team was average as sin. So, Notre Dame was so close to winning a national title that year. But this game on Saturday is the big enchilada. And 10-2, if they go 10-2, which I think, if you're Notre Dame fans and people out there, I bet you $5. You put a poll out there, 75% of Notre Dame fans are probably saying 10-2. We'll take it.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Hyde. I think that about does it. You excited for Saturday? Where are you going to be watching it? What are you going to be doing? Obviously watching the game, but got any fun plans?
No, I'm going to sit around, enjoy the game, get the kids hyped up, and just sit back and watch it. Really, I mean, it's going back to your comment you said 45 minutes ago. No one knows anything. There's no tune-ups. We're going right at it, right from the get-go. So this is, Notre Dame's, the last time Notre Dame played a top 10 team, top 5 team on the road was Mr. Goolsby's sophomore year in Lincoln, Nebraska, 2001. So long time ago, Notre Dame's opened up in a game like this on the road. So it's going to be exciting.
I've got one more thing to say to Irish fans real quick. So right now it's like, oh, Mike Singer, 7-5. Are you high? That's what I'm seeing in the comment section.
No.
But if Notre Dame loses, like you said, like 38-20.
Yeah.
Notre Dame fans, oh, the season's over. We suck. Fire everybody. maybe that's an exaggeration for how you guys will feel. But you know what I'm going to be saying at that point? It's like, we're like, let's calm down. Like, the things are going to be okay. Still can be a good season. So I feel like I can just be a little bit of the voice of reason. You guys are fanatics. That's what the word fan comes from. So I'm just trying to be the voice of reason a little bit. So,
well, that's an interesting take, Mike. So if it, with the point spread 17.5, Ohio State coverage is 38-20. Is it, oh my gosh, what's going on? Or is it, all right, Vegas was right and the national media had it right from the get-go. This is what was expected. Go finish the rest of the season out. Is that going to be the tell of this season?
One game doesn't define your season. Like, this isn't a national championship or bust team. I think this is like a 10-win or bust or something like that. Like, get to New Year's Six game. Like, I just don't think losing to Ohio State, even if it's close to 20 points, I don't think it's like the season's in the crapper. We stink, like, so.
But at the same, you say it's not a national championship or bust, but I just, I keep going back to this. How many old guys are on this football team? How many guys have been around for 4 or 5 years during this run? And, when will Notre Dame get back to this with this many dudes? Obviously, recruiting is going to take care of itself, but for the fans out there, look at the schedule. It's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher after this one. It just is down the road. So it's going to be a barn burner of a. It's going to come down to Freeman recruiting if they don't take care of business this year.
Yeah.
To get back into the national title hunt.
We're going to close out with a super chat from an Ohio State fan who is complaining about being timed out. Look, I'm sorry. I did that. If you're going to come into our show and talk crap, which I saw, I'm going to put you in a 5-minute timeout. So I do appreciate the super chat. Cheers to you, NBA fan. Username, clearly a Buckeye supporter. And folks, I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching or listening to the end of this. We will be live with Mike Goolsby after the game. We'll have reaction from Tim Hyde. Sunday, I believe, Patrick Engel and Tyler Horka will have reaction from the press box following the game as well. So make sure you check all of this out on our Blue and Gold YouTube page. And again, go to blueandgold.com. Go up to the top of the page, sign up $1 for 1 year of premium access. Get all of the scoop on the Fighting Irish football and recruiting, as well as access to our message board where you can communicate with thousands of other Notre Dame fans. Appreciate you all for watching, and we'll catch you next time.